Tales of Moonvale. Chapter 4. The Ribbon Market. Morning in Moonvale broke with color. By the time Elowen stepped outside the silver lantern, the square had transformed into a place of sound and brightness. Overnight, stalls had appeared like blossoms, their awnings painted in hues of crimson, gold, and deep indigo. Lanterns hung from cords strung across the streets, their soft glow refusing to fade even in the daylight, and the air smelled of bread, ink, and lavender crushed beneath hurried feet. The fair of returning was almost here. Elowen pulled her cloak tighter as she moved among the gathering crowd. Children darted between the stalls, their hands sticky with honeyed sweets. Women carried baskets of ribbons, spools unspooling like streams of water behind them. Merchants arranged rows of bells, tiny brass ones, painted wooden ones, and delicate silver ones that chimed with the lightest breath of air. The sound of the market rose and fell like a tide. Somewhere a fiddler tested his strings, and a group of boys clapped along until they were shushed by an elderly woman carrying jars of dark ink. All around, villagers spoke in low, certain tones, voices braided together like ribbons themselves. The Ribbon Seller. At the center of the square stood a stall draped in pale blue cloth. Behind it, a ribbon seller arranged her wares in careful stacks, ribbons in every imaginable shade: sunset orange, moss green, midnight black, moonlit silver. Some were embroidered with small symbols, others shimmered faintly as though they had been dipped in light. Elowen paused. The seller, a woman with gray streaks in her dark hair, looked up and studied her with keen eyes. "First fare?" the woman asked. Elowen nodded. "Then you'll need a ribbon. Not any ribbon, though. One that listens to you." She gestured to the stacks. "Touch them. See which one answers." Elowen reached out hesitantly. Her fingers brushed a strip of deep indigo, but it remained flat and cool. A pale gold ribbon fluttered faintly as though stirred by wind, though no wind touched it. Finally, her hand hovered above a ribbon the color of faded green. As she touched it, the fabric warmed slightly, pulsing against her skin. "That one," the seller said. Her voice softened. "It remembers you." Elowen frowned. "Remembers me? How can a ribbon remember?" The woman smiled without explaining. She folded the ribbon neatly and tied it with a thread. "At midnight, you'll understand. Until then, keep it close." Bells and ink. Further down the lane, Elowen stopped at a stall where bells hands touched the water, the ink dissolved, the letters curling away into the clear depths. Some boats floated briefly before sinking, others dissolved immediately, as if their words were too heavy to stay afloat. Elowen watched, entranced. She crouched near the edge, her reflection wavering beside the small brass key at her hip. For an instant, the water rippled, and across her reflection ran the faint outline of the leaf-scribed pattern, the same one that matched her key. She gasped softly. The children didn't notice. They were too busy cheering as one boat bobbed stubbornly against the fountain's edge. "Elowen," a voice said behind her. She turned. Rowan stood there, his woven lantern in hand. Even in daylight, it pulsed faintly green, as though it carried dusk inside it. "The fountain whispered to you, didn't it?" he asked. Elowen hesitated. "It showed me something. The pattern of my key." Rowan's eyes softened. The linden, the lanterns, the fountain, they are all threads of the same weave. They remember what we forget. That is why the fair matters. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Your key is part of Moonvale's memory. Tomorrow night, when the fair begins, it will return what belongs to you." Elowen clutched the ribbon in her hand. "And if I don't want it?" Rowan studied her for a long moment. "Then you tie silence. Even silence is something the linden can keep." He left her with that, the green glow of his lantern trailing him through the market crowd. Evening preparations. By evening, the square was alive with sound and color. Musicians played near the fountain, fiddles and pipes, weaving melodies that slipped between the stalls. Villagers strung bells along the eaves of their homes. Their soft chiming blended with laughter and voices. Children raced with ribbons streaming behind them, their footsteps scattering the last of the day's sunlight. Elowen returned to the bench beneath the linden. She laid the ribbon, the bell, the ink, and her brass key across her lap. The tree's branches creaked overhead, and once more she thought she heard the faint texture of whispers. Fragments of names, fragments of stories. She closed her eyes, letting the sounds of the market fold around her. The fair was nearly here. The lanterns would sing again. The villagers would tie their memories, and she would have to decide whether to write or to remain silent.